Hey there, how's everyone doing today? I've got an incredible to share with you guys, a WhatsApp clone that integrates the Zegocloud video and voice SDK. If you're excited about this project, make sure to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Don't hesitate to leave a comment below, as I'm always striving to deliver the best build. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So to ensure everyone is on the same page, my main.dat file, within the team data, I just set a primary color over here and also a secondary color and created a home page widget. And the home page is basically returning a blank scaffold, which is a stateful widget. So let's extend this home state with a single ticker provider state mixing, right? So this is basically going to provide the animation controller for the tab bar widget. So once we have that set up, let's define a tab bar controller variable, which is going to be named as the tab bar controller, and it's going to be a private variable. So let's assign the late to it to get rid of the errors. So we are going to have an initState method over here, and within the initState method, we will pass in the length and also the vsync, right? So we will pass in a length of 3, and the vsync parameter will be set to this, and that basically shows the current state of the object. We are going to have a dispose method that was basically going to clean up resources once the widget is removed, right? So within the blank scaffold, you will start with an app bar, which is going to contain an app bar widget. So in here, let's get rid of the cons to get rid of the errors. So let's start with the background color of the app bar, and that's going to be our primary color. So theme.offContext.primary color. And also let's give it a title, which is going to take in the text of WhatsApp. There we go. And let's set the elevation to 0.5. So once we have that, the app bar is going to contain the bottom property, right? And that's going to contain our tabs. So with the bottom, we'll start with our tab bar. So in here, we need to provide controller, right? And that's going to be our tab controller. So we need to pass in our tab controller. The tab bar widget also takes in the indicator color. We are going to set that to white. So colors.white. So once we have that, it takes in the tabs, which is an array of widgets, and it's going to take in our tab, right? And the tab takes in the text. So for the first one, we're going to set it to charts. So we'll be doing same for 2 tests. So I'll repeat that 2 more times, and we set the second one to status, and also the third one to calls. So let's save in the changes over here. The app bar also takes in actions. That's going to be at the end of the app bar. So it's basically an array that we can specify a list of widgets in there. So our first widget is going to be the icon widget, and the icon name is going to be search, right? And the next one is going to be the more vertical icon, right? So in here we have our icon button, which takes in on press and also the icon, right? And we are going to set the icon to be the 3 dotted line that's arranged vertically. So the icon name is going to be the icons.moreVert. Alright, so let's get rid of the cons in here. There we go. So you can see it over there. So with the body of this scaffold, right, you are going to return a tab bar view that takes in the children, and it's going to be an array of widgets, right? So in here is where we build our individual screens. So let's pass in the controller over here, and that's going to be a tab controller. Let's get rid of the cons in there. So within the array, that's where we are going to build our individual screen for the charts, the status, and also the calls, right? So the first one is going to be our chat screen, which is not yet created, and also the second one is going to be our status screen, and the third one is going to be our call screen, right? It's not yet created, that's why we're having an error. So we'll be doing that sooner. So within the view, I'll just create a file, and I'll name this file as the chat screen.dat, and it's going to be a stateful widget over here, and the name is going to be changed to chat screen, right? So let's get rid of it and import the material.dat. So let's start with the center, which is going to have a child of a text, right? So we are going to have a text centered, and the name of this is going to be our chat screen, right? So we'll be doing same thing for the status screen and also the call screen. So I'll just create a file over here and name it as the call screen.dat. So I'll just paste it over here, change the name to call screen, There we go. So we need to change the text over here to call screen just to ensure it works. So lastly, we just create a file, and this file is going to be named as the status screen, right? .dat. We're doing same. This is going to be renamed as the status screen .dat, and also the text is going to change to the status screen. So once we have the file created within our home.dat, we need to import those files, right? So we just import them, our call screen, status screen, and also the chat screen, right? So once we have that imported, let's save in the changes. We can see we have no more errors. So when we navigate to the individual tabs, you can see the corresponding name as well, right? The chat, the status, and also the call screen. So the scaffold of this is going to also contain a floating action button, right? And you're going to make a conditional rendering over here. It's going to be based on the tab bar index, right? So if the tab bar index is equal to 0, right, you're going to have a floating action button with a message icon. Otherwise, you're going to return the null value over here, right? So we want the first tab of this view to contain a floating action button, which is only going to return what? The message icon. There you go. So otherwise, you return null. So let's save in the changes over here. As you can see, it's over there, right? So now we need to build our individual screens, the chat screen, the status screen, and also the call screen, right? So in my lib folder, I'll create a folder known as the models. And I'll create a file. So in here, we're going to have our chat model over here. So without wasting my time, I'll just paste in my chat model over here. And that's going to take in the name, the message, the time, and also the avatar URL. And we require that in the constructor as well. So in here we have a list of chats, right? Passing in the name, the message, and time, and also the avatar URL. So once you have that set up, within our chat screen, you can get rid of the text and also the center widget over here and return the list view builder, right? So basically the list view builder takes in the item builder and also the item count, right? So with the item builder, it takes in the context and also the index. Yeah. So we can do that over here. And also it also takes in the item count, right? That's going to be the length of what we're going to build, right? And that's going to be from our chat list dot length. So we need to import that. So once we have that imported, let's start building what? Our list view. So within that, we can extract the model. So I'll create a variable known as the chat and also access the index of our chat list, right? So we're going to return a column over here, and that column is going to return a container. We're going to have a children, sorry. And the first child of this column is going to be the divider widget, and it's going to take in a thickness of 1.2 and also a height of 5. That's going to be our separator for each list. So below the list view, we are going to have a list style, right? So the list style is going to take in the leading. The list style is going to take in the leading. So with the leading, we specify a circle avatar over here, right? And the circle avatar takes in the background color. There you go, as you can see it over there. So let's give it a radius, right? You're going to set the radius to 25 to increase it. There you go. And also you can change the background color over here. Let's set it to gray. So it also takes in the background image, right? And our background image is going to be from the network, right? We are going to require that from the internet. So we use network image, then we pass in our chat.avatar URL that will access our image for us. So let's save in the changes. There we go, you can see it over there. Let's proceed. So the list style also takes in the title. Hey, the title is going to contain a row, and the row takes in the children. I can specify a widget over here, So the first chart of the row is going to paste in the text. That's going to be our chart.name. So when it's saving the changes, you can see it over there. So let's start the row by giving it a font weight. We're going to set the font weight to be bold. So font weight.bold. So once you have that, you can see the effect over there. So next to the text is going to be another text. So in here we access the time over here. It's going to be chart.time, right? So you can change the color of this time over here. So we set the color to colors.gray, right? And you can also reduce the font size. So you can set the font size to be 14. There you go. So with the row, we can set the main axis alignment to be main axis alignment or space between, so you can have it on each side. There you go. That's what we expected. So below the row, we're going to have a subtitle, right? That's going to be next to the title, and that's going to take in the chat.message, the last message the individual entered, right? As you can see it over there. So it's going to have the same styling with a different font size. So we set the font size over here to 15. So let's actually wrap the text within a padding widget, and this padding is going to apply only to the top, a value of 5. So let's save any changes. There we go. Now it's looking pretty much good, right? So you can see we are done with our chat screen. Let's focus on the status screen and also the core screen. So with the status screen, you can get rid of the center and also the text in here and return a container widget over here. We text in the child, right? And we set the child to a column, right? And the column takes in the children, where we can specify a list of widgets in here. That's an array. So initially, let's set the color of the container, right? So the color of the container, we set it to this hex value. That's a grayish color. So within the children, the first chart of this column, right, let's initially set the cross-axis alignment of this to be cross-axis alignment of start, right? So within the array of these children, it's going to take in the card, right? And you're going to set the color of this card to be white. So once you have that set up, you can set elevation to 0. And also the chart of this card is going to be a list style, right? So with a list style of this, you can specify the leading property within the list style, and that's going to take in the stack widget, and the stack takes in the children, right? Let's get rid of the cons in here. So the first chart of this stack is going to be the circle avatar, and let's provide it a radius of 30 and also a background image. So in here, I'll just paste in this background image. So you can just find that. There you go. So below the circle avatar, you're going to position a widget over here. So we use the position widget. That's basically going to contain the container widget, right? So the container. So let's set the bottom of this position to be 0. And also let's set the right value to 1. So inside the container, it's going to take in a height of 20. And also it's going to take in a width of 20. So the container also takes in the decoration, which in turn is also going to take in the box decoration, right? So within the box decoration, you can specify a color over here. So let's set the color to green, sorry. And also it takes in the shape, right? So you can set the box shape to circle, so you can have it rounded. There you go. So the chart of this container is going to be an icon widget, right? So the chart is going to be an icon widget. So in here, the icon is going to be icons.add. We want the plus sign of the icon, right? So in saving the changes, you can see it reflect over here. And let's give it a color. That color is going to be colors.white. and give it a size as well. So the size is going to be 15. So below the position widget, so let's come outside the stack. So the list is going to take in the title, right? And the title is going to be my status. There you go. So let's start this by bolding the title by setting the font weight to bold, right? So with the style property, if it is in the text style, you can specify a font weight over here and you can set the font weight to be bold. So let's save in the changes over here. There you go. So we are going to also have a subtitle that's going to be beneath the title, right? So that's also going to be a text widget over here. We're going to set that to tap to add a status, right? Sorry, tap to update, tap to add a status update. So we are going to have a text over here, right? Below the card. That's going to be viewed updates. That's going to be the individual updates of the status of your contacts, right? So let's wrap it within a padding widget. And this padding is going to affect all a value of 8. So let's start the test as well. So let's provide a color over here, right? And the color, we are going to set the color to gray color. And also increase the font size as well. So let's set the font size over here. So let's provide a font weight to be font weight.bold. So below this text, we are going to have an expander widget which is going to take the available space, right? So it's going to take in the chart of a container, right? And this container also is going to take in a color, right? So let's set the color to white. And also let's provide a padding for this container, and this padding is going to affect all a value of 8. So the container takes in a child. So in here we specify a list view, right? List view.builder. Sorry, list view.separated. So in here it takes in the item builder, the separator builder, and also the item count. So with the item builder, it takes in the context and also the index, right? It's a function that basically takes in the context and the index. And the separator builder is also a function that takes in what? The context. We are going to return a padding widget to separate each list view. Sorry, list style. Sorry. So in here we provided a padding value which is going to apply only to the top, a value of 5, right? So the function takes in 2 params. So the next one, let's set to an underscore, right? So the item count is going to be from the chat list.length. So we need to import that. So with the item builder, that's where you are going to build our widget, right? So let's set it to a list style over here. And as usual, the list style is going to take in the leading. And we are going to specify a circle avatar over here. And this circle avatar is going to take in the background image. And we're going to access this image from online. And that's going to be our chat.avatar URL. So in here, I'll create a variable over here and extract the 8 index from the chat list, right? So I can use the chat instance over here. There you go. You can see it reflects over here. So let's provide a radius value of 30. There you go. So below the list, we're going to have, or within the list, we're going to have a title, which is going to take in the text of the username. And let's style the text as well by bolding the text. So we set the font weight to bold. So you're going to have a subtitle over here that's going to be beneath the name, right? And that actually showed when is the last status of the update, right? There we go. We are pretty much done. So we're done with the chat screen, the status screen. So let's focus on the core screen. You can see it's looking pretty much good. So let's proceed. So with the core screen, I'll create a file within the model folder and this is going to be named as the core model, right? We are going to have a different model for this. So I'll just place in this, and that's basically a class of core model that is in the ID, the image URL, the name, the type, and also the status, right? So in here we have a list of cores, right? Passing in the ID, the name, the time, the image URL, and also the status as well, right? We have 3 of all of them, right? So within our core screen, I'll get rid of the center and also a text in here and proceed to build this page, right? So we are going to return a list view.builder over here, and basically it takes in what? The item count, and the item count we are going to set that to our core list.length, right? So we need to import our core list, and if I could spell this right, so it also takes in the item builder, right, which is basically a function that's going to take in the context and also the index as well. So in here I'll just extract my core from the core list, accessing the index over here. So we're going to return a column widget over here, and this column is going to take in the children. That way we can specify a list of widgets in here, and the first child of this column is going to be the divider widget. So in here we pass in a thickness of 1.2 and also give it a height value of 5. So below this divider we are going to have the list style over here, right? So the list style is going to take in the leading, that's going to be a circle avatar. So in here we need to provide it a background image and also a radius as well. So the radius we specify it to be 25, and also let's give it a background image. So we'll be accessing the background image from online. So we just extract, use the network image widget, right, and pass in our core dot image URL. So let's get rid of the cons in here to avoid the errors. So once we have that set up, we're saving the changes. So the lister is also going to take in the title, right? So with the title we specify a text over here. Sure, that basically show the name of that person. So let's start this text as well. So with the text style we can just provide it a font weight. So there you go. So let's refresh. As you can see, it reflects over there. You can see our divider widget and also a circle avatar. So the subtitle of this is going to be a container, right? So let's have a pattern over here, and this pattern is going to be edge insert, and this pattern is only going to affect the top, a value of 5. So the subtitle is going to take in the child, right? So for the child, you can specify a row over here that is in the children. So the first child of this row, we are going to access our core our core status that shows whether it's what incoming call or missed call, right? And next to this is going to be our time, right? So quarter time. There you go. I think that's pretty much it. So let's start this. So with the styling of this, you can provide a color over here, and that color is going to be gray, and also a font size which is 15. So the list style, you can specify the trailing, that's going to be the end of this list, right? And you are going to specify an icon button over here, which is an on press. That's going to be the function that gets called, and also it is in the icon. So with the icon, we can specify it to be from our core dot type dot icon, right? So that basically shows whether it's video call or voice call, right? So with the icon you can see. So you can actually wrap the list style within a widget known as the ink wall, right? So that make it feel like a button. So it has an on tap property. That's going to be where you call a function. So you can actually, so this is where we initiate our call, right? You integrating it with Zegocloud. So with on tap, that's why we add our functionality to integrate with Zegocloud. So you can actually tab on the list style over here, right? So let's give it a color. And let's set the color to theme of contest dot primary color. That shows the different shades of green color over there. So we want the icon to change to the green color. So let's save in the changes. There you go. And I think we are pretty much done. So in here, we want to add functionality to initiate our call. So this is where we introduce our Zegocloud SDK. And to integrate that, we need to the Zego UI kit pre-built call as a dependency to our app. So I'll just pop up my terminal over here and clear the console and just add the dependency. And that's the Zego UI kit pre-built call. There we go. So once you are done with that, we need to import that as well, right? So I'll just import it over here. So we need to head towards the admin console. I need to create a project for already have a couple of projects created in here. I need to select a use case for app and hit on the next button. So I need to give a project a name, and I'm going to name the project as WhatsApp clone and start with the UI kit over here. So in here to start creating a WhatsApp project, right? So you can start building. So in here, I'll build for Flutter, right? So I'll choose for Flutter in here and also save and start to integrate, right? So I'll just click on that button over there. So once you have that created, you can have access to your app ID and also the app sign, right? So I just grab this code over here. That's the Zego UI kit pre-built component. So in the on tap function, right, I'll navigate to that very page, right? So navigator will push, which takes in the context, right? And also the material page route. So the material page route takes in the builder, which is basically a function that takes in the context. And you're going to return the Zego UI kit pre-built core component, right? So in here, you need to pass in the context over here to get rid of the errors. Once you are navigating, popping off the context, right? So you need to pass in our app ID. So I'll just grab that in here and also our app sign over here, right? So I'll just copy that and replace it with our app sign. So our user ID will be coming from core.id, right? So can have a dynamic, and also our username will be core.name, right? The same thing to the core ID. So core.id. There you go. So you can save in the changes. And we need to make some configuration within our project, right? So you can also have one-on-one video call, voice call, and also a group call. So as you can see it over there, one-on-one voice. So I can just change one of it from the video call to the voice call, right? So I can just replace the one-on-one video call to one-on-one voice call, right? So I need to do that. So once you have that set up, you need to make some configuration within. So that's the next step. First, you need to change the compiled SDK version to 33 and also set the main SDK version to 21, and it's found within the same file. So within the Android folder, the app folder, we have the build.gradle, right? So you can see our compiled SDK version over here, and we need to change that to 33. So when you scroll below, you can see the main SDK version as well, and we need to refactor that to 21 and save in the changes, right? And the next step is to add the permissions, right? So I'll copy that, and that should be within the Android manifest file. So within the source, the main, you can have access to the manifest file over here and just paste in the permissions and saving the changes, right? There you go. And also to prevent code obfuscation, we need to create a folder, a file within the app folder. That's the proguardrules.pro. So within my app folder, I'll right click on it and create a file. And I'm going to name this file, as the proguardrules.pro. There you go. So we need to paste in the contents here in that file. So I'll just paste in here and save in the changes. And the last step is to copy these contents and paste it within the build types under the release part, right? So below that, So that's fine within the border grad. You can see the release over here. So, and within the release, you can just paste this content, and that's pretty much it. So if you are, there you go. So let's give it a try. So you can see when you tap on the name, you can see you need to allow up to have access to those permissions. And also you can see the name is being dynamic over here. You can just choose a different one. There you go. So that's it. See you in our next tutorial. Until then, stay tuned.